Hi everybody and welcome to another video from Veteran Detail. Today we're going to be talking about lighting. Lighting. You cannot have enough lights. Stay tuned. We'll talk about our new system, our new lighting rig. Oh, you're going to like it. So here we are. We have the lighting system here. I'm now going to wind it out and show you how it moves up into position. Now when we turn it on, it needs a little bit of time to warm up. So inside these fluorescent fittings, we have different types of fluorescent light. So we have standard fluorescent, we also have LED, and then we have LED daylight and fluorescent daylight tubes. So our problem in winter is always going to be to shed enough light onto a vehicle or into a vehicle when you don't have the advantage of those nice sunshiny days. So the ideal for looking at a vehicle, and you always at the end need to inspect that vehicle outside in daylight. However, with these daylight fluorescents, we're getting a very similar kind of effect now of lighting onto the vehicle. Now some people will say, well, why do you need these lights 4 feet wide? Aren't they a little bit in your way? Aren't they obtrusive or inclusive when you're trying to work around them? The thing is with these is that you can stand them off away from the vehicle. They do shed quite a lot of light onto the vehicle or inside, and even though you're standing in front of it, it doesn't tend to cast a shadow on the surface of the vehicle. So I'll show you that in a moment. So going back to my lighting tower, as you can see, it goes all the way up, and you can also fold it all the way in. Now to the bottom there, just around about, I'm going to get my finger right, there we go, down there. What we've done is we've modified this system because we had it built for us specifically. An engineering company, or one of the guys, a local guy from an engineering company, he came in, he said, I've got this system in my garage but it's made of wood, I'm thinking of building one, can you build one out? Or I said, well, I don't want a wooden one. So he brought us a prototype, which he knocked up quite quickly. We spent a few days with that prototype, and what we did with the prototype is we tested it. We moved it around vehicles, we tested it under different circumstances when we were detailing engine bays, when we were detailing the inside of a car, how easy was it to manoeuvre, and various different things sort of thrown themselves up, different problems sort of threw themselves up. So we wrote down a few different modifications that we'd like to make to the tower. Main one being that some of these lights have got the cage around them, because as you're actually walking around, you know, I'm generally not a clumsy guy, although I do employ other people. Now some of those people may or may not be clumsy. So to protect those bulbs, we've then put the cages on them. That was one of the factors. When my guys were working with it, we ended up with the extension cord which plugs into the outlet or the socket from the wall. We had quite a long cord in it so we could move it around the shop. And we thought, well, we don't really need a really long cord because we're going to move it towards the vehicle, and then ideally what we need, so we don't have lots of cords all over the place, is the ability to have an outlet actually fitted to the light unit. So we have an outlet fitted to the light unit and we can plug various polishers in. People are going to say, well, how much power does it draw? Well, it draws the power that you would use with one machine, because you're only using one machine at a time generally. If you need to use a rotary, then you're using a rotary. At the point where you finish with that rotary, you then change to do a DA, and at the point where you finish with the DA and you need to get those smaller areas, then you're using a mini polisher. So what we have here at the bottom is a 4-way outlet with the GFI on this side. The base is very sturdy. It's full of concrete blocks, so it's not going to topple over, which may be some people's concern, because obviously once you get that kind of overhang at the top where it pivots just there, so we have these additional 4 lights which go over the top. What's keeping it all steady is obviously this base. So the base is quite sturdy. It's braced here, which goes down onto the base there. All of the lights, they're very sturdy because each one has its own bracket. So those brackets are attached to the main tubes. And then, so these lights, as you can see, they don't wobble around. They're just nice and stable. The way it's wired, it comes in from the main outlet from the wall. The power goes into that outlet there, which is for the power tools, and then from there power is taken to each individual light and they're just looped along. Here we have the light switch, on and off. There's on and off. So you can see how much light it actually throws out once the system's on. So that's with our normal shop lights. This is the car under normal lighting, and then let's throw the switch. So what we've got now is quite a lot of intense light all the way onto the panel of the car. So it shines up the whole of this side of the vehicle, and then also up onto the top, onto the roof. So at the bottom here we have rubber wheels which we can lock off. It's got the on and off locking mechanism there, so once you move it into place you can lock it. It's got a single-handled ratchet system, so it can be operated by just one person, and that works on that ratchet, and that cable basically runs up the back over this wheel, another wheel there, and then it's hooked up to towards the top. The whole system can be folded down, so it can pivot, so it pivots from there, and then this top section comes all the way down, and it can be folded in and stowed away, just popped off. So I'm standing in front of it and it's very bright inside here now, and my body is not really cast in. I'm waving, you can just see a little bit of shadow there, but it's nothing too obtrusive, and I'm sort of now fully inside the car, and we've still got enough light being thrown in to be able to work inside that vehicle. And that's always going to be your difficulty with a black vehicle inside a black interior of a car, trying to get enough light in there without having lots of light fittings or torches or anything else in your work area. You need that work area for vacuums and compressed air, brushes, various materials to clean the vehicle. So you're now free. I'm standing away from the vehicle, or the light fitting is away from the vehicle, and it's shedding quite a lot of light inside there. You notice the difference when you actually turn it off. And then back on again. So that's the advantage that this system gives you for interiors. It's at least 5 or 6 feet away from the vehicle. So let's talk now about what it does exterior wise, what it's showing up on this paint. So here we can see all of these imperfections on the paint. If we're now going to work this area, so we're going to work this area, say for instance, once we've washed the vehicle, we then clay bar it. What it's giving, by having this amount of light and in various types of light, as I said, we have LED, daylight, normal fluorescent lights, so the mixture there of various different types of tube. And the advantage that we also have, as technology changes, they're not really going to change this design of fitting. So the fitting will generally 99% of the time always be the same. What will change is the technology within the tube. So as that technology changes, all we have to do is just change out the tubes. So these are normal fluorescents, LEDs, the daylight tubes, and it's throwing a mixture of different types of light now onto the surface of this vehicle. So where it shows up all of these different imperfections, we have quite a lot of light, and normally before, when you were looking for imperfections, we're just trying to pick out one set of strip lights or one line of light from the reflection from the lights which are around the shop. We can now move these around, or we can move this whole system around, because you've got a handle here, it's on wheels. All we do is, if you want it closer, you push it closer. The other advantage with a small car is that we also have, because this is angled and we can lower this, we can then shed quite a lot of light onto the roof. And with the roof, typically before, you're only using the lights which are around the shop there, or the ones from above. So now we have all of these lights from that top section, which it pivots. Remember from when I wound it out, we have a ratchet system here at the bottom with a winding handle, and what we can do is we can either take it up, or if we pull this lever or this lever and pull it down, that then releases that ratchet system, and then we can wind it down. So we click it there at the bottom, and then we just lock it off, and then we can put that fitting, we can angle it further down, so now it's closer to the roof. And if we push this system closer to the car, we've then got the light shining on top of, or all of those lights shining on top of the roof. So as I mentioned earlier, we applied, or we attached, a 4-way outlet there with the GFI on it, obviously for safety. So different types of machine can be plumbed into the bottom there, and your work area, so your work area is then full basically with everything you need to work generally this whole side, or majority of that side of the vehicle, without moving the lighting tower. Now some people will say, well, why don't you just get one of those nice little Buff Bright lights from Tom from Buff Bright? Well, here's the thing, I use those, yes, we use them in conjunction with this, because although those are great when you're using them and they shine up a small area, and I'll show you that or demonstrate that to you shortly. I've got some of those Buff Brights already attached to my polishing machines on the walls, various polishers, rotaries, DAs. So I'll show you the effect with those, and then I'll also show you the effect with those with this light system turned off. So it sheds enough light on there to give you a large work area, and then if you wanted to, you can use your little Buff Bright lights. We have them here, and as I mentioned before, I don't know why they have this crazy strobe light on there. Maybe it's for Friday afternoon disco time. So here I am, and I've got all of this light, this whole light fitting now shining down and bringing out all these imperfections in the paint. What I can see here is all of the swirl, all of the marring, those imperfections that have been put in there from years and years of this vehicle going through a car wash system. So whichever system I now go with to polish this out, whether I use a great big rotary with a great big fluffy wool pad to get some really deep scratches out of it, or whether I use a DA polisher in conjunction with, yes, that is one of those little flamethrowers, thank you Tom, from Buff Bright. So these are very useful. You can use them on their own, you can use them in conjunction with other lighting. What they will do is just enhance that small area that you're working. It sheds a light on the area you're working. The way I like to work is I need quite a lot of light. I'm working a whole panel, so I want to see what's going on with that full panel. With these smaller Buff Bright lights, I'm not saying they're not good, they are brilliant, they have their advantages, but I wouldn't use this specifically just on its own. On here I've got a microfiber pad, and I'm going to use some medium compound, if I can get it out. The preparation is everything. Yeah, it does help if you take the top off. So basically, once it's primed, we can now work this area. So what I have here now is I can see the reflection of these lights in this surface. And as I move my head up and down, I'm getting all of these imperfections in the paint. They're showing up, but they're showing up quite a large area. I don't have to sort of specifically search for them with something which is 4 inches wide. I've got 4 feet of light and also additional light, but this is quite intense. The lighting here is quite an intense light. It's quite bright to look at it, and I'll show you now the difference when we turn it off. So now we've got normal shop lighting. This panel looks amazing, as it would, because obviously there's not enough light going onto it, and inside this environment here now, with your normal sort of shop lights on, you think that you're doing a really great job. So, with the flamethrower, small LED light, that shows up an area around the polisher. So as you move it, yes, you're seeing those imperfections. However, you're looking for them specifically. With this on, I'm seeing all of those imperfections. I'm getting a full panel. Everything that is in that panel, I can now see with this light. So I'm not saying that this isn't any good. Yes, it is. What I'm saying is that with a whole lighting rig like this, you've got intense light throughout that whole system. So as I change different types of polisher, so if I was working and we had some typically aggressive sort of scratches in there and you wanted to take those out quickly, then with this, because everything is plumbed in to here, I haven't got sort of cords running all the way over the shop, 3 different types of cord. All I've got is basically the cord from the machine back to my outlet, which is fitted to the bottom of the light fitting. So if I wanted to, I can use a wool pad and cut quite quickly. If we've got intricate areas where you need to get a smaller polisher in, then we can use the Gryot's Garage 3-inch Mini. For exterior work, it gives us 9 different lights that shines on the whole surface or the whole side of a vehicle. Don't forget the other advantage is because it tilts and comes over the top. If you're detailing the top of the car, then you're not just relying on those lights above. Remember that most lighting systems that you can purchase are only designed to shine on the side of the vehicle. If you want to get enough light close enough to the top of the vehicle, then you have to come out with some kind of system which can come down over the car. And this, once we push it slightly closer to the car, this area comes down through that cable and winding system which is on the rear. It's a one-man operated lighting rig. It's very easy to operate. If you want to wind it up or if you want to collapse it completely, you want to fold it inside itself to maneuver it around the shop easier, then it will fold all the way down and you're just looking at some sort of 4.5 to 5 feet system. Currently when it's all the way up and we want to do very large vehicles, then you can do lifted trucks with this. It will shine the whole side of a lifted truck, whether that's an 8, 10, 12-inch lift. You've seen me at SEMA underneath a great big crazy truck. Well, this system will be able to light the whole side of that to be able to polish it. So there we have it. Our new lighting rig. We've had it specifically made for our shop. It's not to everyone's liking. Some people go off, why have you got that? It's crazy. I've got it, or we've got it, due to the fact that we can stand it off away from the vehicle. It shines enough light into the vehicle so we can detail it and see exactly what we're doing, especially in black vehicles with a black interior. So, don't forget, stay tuned for our next video. Press the subscribe button. Press the notifications, that'll let you know when our next video is online. If you want to leave any comments about how this thing was manufactured and the advantages to it, then please just leave your comments. By leaving comments, that will throw open a whole discussion with the detailing world. People will go, yeah, that's quite good. People will go, that's a bit big. Is it overkill? Do you need it? Can you get away with those little LED ones instead? Well, we don't know. That's the thing. The detailing world evolves all the time. One thing is definite within the detailing world: lights. You need lighting. You need lighting to show the imperfections in the paint. You need lighting so you can see exactly what you're doing and you can get all of that dirt and grime from the inside of a car. You can never, ever, ever have enough lights inside a detail shop. People say, oh, your electricity bill must be crazy. Well, they're LED. Most of those are LED lights, so they only take a little bit of electricity from the grid. Don't worry, I'm not here to save the planet. I'll let everyone else worry about that. So, this is Paddy from Veteran Detail signing off. Stay tuned for our next video. Thank you. And to all those people who do subscribe, thank you for your support. Those numbers are creeping up now, that is quite good. So our word is getting out there, our community is getting bigger. Again, just leave your comments down in the comments section. That's Paddy from Veteran Detail, again, signing off.